Vanessa stood frozen in the middle of the street. Around her were mattresses, bags of clothes, kitchen utensils, schoolbooks, and everything her family owned. Her landlord had thrown them out. Her son was lying in a hospital bed. Her savings were gone. Her relatives had abandoned her. And despite working 3 jobs, she was losing everything. For months, it felt as though a spirit of poverty was following her family everywhere they went. Every time she thought things were getting better, another problem appeared. Standing there that day, Vanessa looked up at the sky with tears in her eyes. A question entered her mind that she never thought she would ask. Lord, have you forgotten us? But Vanessa had no idea that before the end of that day, something would happen that would change her family's life forever. 3 weeks earlier, Vanessa Joseph was a widow and a mother of 2 children. Her husband had died several years earlier, leaving her alone to raise their son and daughter. Life had not been easy since then. Every morning before sunrise, Vanessa was already awake. While most people were still sleeping, she was preparing for another long day of work. Not 1 job. Not 2 jobs. 3 jobs. She cleaned offices in the morning, worked at a small restaurant in the afternoon, and spent part of the evening doing another part-time job just to earn enough money to survive. She was always tired. Her body hurt. Many nights she slept only a few hours before starting again. But she kept going. Not because she enjoyed it. Not because it was easy. But because she loved her children. One evening, after returning home from work, she stood quietly in front of an old family photograph. It was a picture of her late husband smiling beside her and the children. For a few seconds, she simply stared at it. Then she whispered softly, "I promised you I would take care of them." Her eyes filled with tears. "No matter how hard it gets, I will keep this family together." She wiped her face before the children could see her crying. That was something Vanessa did often. She hid her pain. Her children knew she worked hard. But they did not know how much she was struggling. They did not know how many nights she stayed awake worrying.
It will be okay, Emily.
They did not know how many bills she could not pay. And they certainly did not know about the letter that would arrive a few days later. One afternoon, Vanessa returned home and found an envelope at the door. Immediately, her heart sank. She already knew what it was. Slowly, she opened it. Her hands began to shake. The letter was from her landlord. It was a final eviction notice. She had 30 days to pay what she owed or leave the property. 30 days. Vanessa sat down in silence. She read the notice again. Then again. And again. Maybe she was hoping the words would somehow change. But they didn't. The reality remained the same. If she could not find the money, her children would lose their home. For several minutes, she sat there staring at the paper. Then she folded it carefully and hid it where her children would not find it. She was not ready to tell them. She could not bear to see fear in their eyes. That night, while the children slept, Vanessa spread her bills across the table. Rent. Electricity. Food. School expenses. Transportation. She picked up a pen and started calculating. Again. And again.
8, 9, 10.
And again. Finally, she stopped. For the first time in weeks, she saw a small possibility. If she worked extra shifts. If she spent less money. If nothing unexpected happened. She might just be able to save the house. It would be difficult. Very difficult. But possible. A small smile appeared on her face. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope. The next few days were exhausting. Vanessa accepted every extra shift she could find. She worked longer hours, skipped breaks, and pushed herself harder than ever. Sometimes she was so tired that she could barely stand. At home, things were not much easier. One evening, her daughter looked at her and asked, "Mum, have you eaten?" Vanessa smiled. Yes, sweetheart, I ate at work. The little girl nodded and continued eating. But after the children went to bed, Vanessa quietly drank a glass of water and went to sleep hungry. She had not eaten. She was trying to save every little amount she could. Day after day, she continued fighting. And slowly, the money she needed began to grow. Maybe she could do it. Maybe she could beat the deadline. Maybe she could keep her promise. Then, one evening, everything changed. Her young son came into the room looking weak. Mum, he said softly, I don't feel well. Vanessa immediately touched his forehead. He felt warm. Very warm. At first, she thought it was something minor. A simple illness. Children got sick sometimes. It happened. But as the days passed, the symptoms did not disappear. Instead, they seemed to get worse. Soon, Vanessa found herself spending money on hospital visits and medication. Money she had been saving for the house. Money she could not afford to lose. The doctor examined the boy and prescribed treatment. Before leaving, the doctor looked at Vanessa and said, Give him the medication, but if his condition gets worse, bring him back immediately. Vanessa nodded. But something about the doctor's tone bothered her. As she walked out of the hospital with her son, a feeling of fear settled inside her heart. The eviction deadline was getting closer. Her savings were shrinking. And now her son was sick. Once again, it felt as though the spirit of poverty had found another way to attack her family. Vanessa looked down at her son as they walked home. She tried to stay strong. She tried to stay hopeful. But deep inside, she could feel another storm approaching. And this time, it was bigger than she imagined.